there. Just a quick note before we start the episode. We're talking about community today. And to let you know, as far as the definition and the theme of community, we're going to be talking about that in relation to content creation and streaming in particular. That is the family, friends, acquaintances, and followers that you might have in your community as a streamer who like the content that you're making, or around YouTube videos or YouTube content, say people who show up and watch those videos, comment on them, and are a part of the ever-growing content journey of a creator. With that in mind, enjoy the episode. So excited to bring this content to you. Let's go. To the StreamSix Academy Podcast. We focus on the real day-to-day effort needed to become a successful streamer or content creator, mind you. Whether you're just starting out, whether you're an established streamer, and you're looking for ways to grow your community, we are here to share what we have learned along the way. We got some amazing guests for this first season. We got an awesome guest today as well. My name is Sam Hall, known online as Baxcast. With me is my co-host, Tim Seneker, known online as Camera Tim. What is up, my dude?
Hello. It's good to be back again.
Again for another episode 3.
That's
episode
ridiculous.
3 of
I can't
this,
believe we've done 2 of these already.
It's kind of nuts. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And this is, for those who might be unfamiliar, StreamSix is an indie developer. It's a platform looking at ways to develop connections between streamers and communities through social interactive experiences known as Sixes. So defining this genre, pushing it out, I think it's the future of gaming. Mark it right here, right? Like at this point, it was said on that podcast that this is the future. Actually, can we claim that? Is that legal?
I mean, as soon as it goes live, yes.
Okay. Oh, good. Great. That's awesome. So I mean, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Also, as a reminder to anybody listening, this is very much not just a us talk, you listen. There's also an aspect of this that we're going to be talking about today, which is community. You are a part of this conversation. So reach out to us through StreamSix on Twitch, major social media platforms. Discord is an awesome way to communicate with people. Let us know your thoughts, your feedback. Ask us questions about what we're talking about today. We would love to hear from you and have you be a part of this process as we all learn together. And today is community. It's about community. Tim, community is inescapable, dude. I don't know.
It's all around us.
Community. Yeah, I walked outside. There were people out in the courtyard, and they're like, "You want to be a part of our community?" And I said, "Oh, no. I need to go to work. I need to.
I have a different community.
I want to be a part of this, but yeah, like I need to go get coffee."
Yeah, I mean, community is something I think people really started grasping onto. It almost became a buzzword like through COVID, I feel like. But it's something that's always existed, I think, throughout all of human time. People have always been drawn towards having other people. I mean, I remember talking back on the first episode when we were all in person, that one of the biggest things that people lack when they are doing this type of work is they lack accountability. They lack the community of people around them that can be able to encourage them and do all the things that are, you need encouragement as people. So you need those people around you that can love you through everything, and that can help you out if you're struggling, or that you can come alongside you to celebrate something, So community's
That's
huge.
a really good point. Yeah, and you're right that we are communal creatures. Like I don't think, if I want to know this story, if it exists in history, please let me know. Let's go back like 5,000 years. Even farther. Let's go back like 10,000 years. And I wanted to see that person who's like, I'm doing this alone. And they just go and they just peace out, right? There's no, like, that person probably was not as successful as those
probably when the pyramids were built, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 10,000 years ago when
the
pyramids were built.
Yeah, that sounds about right, right?
Yeah. No. Well, I think it was 10,000 years ago, yeah, when the aliens came down.
When the aliens came, right.
Yeah, I learned that in my history class in Boise, Idaho. Yeah, they were like, yeah, well, then the aliens came down, and that's going to be on the quiz, so write it down. It was good. So we're gonna bring on our guest, Paul Schmidt. known online as Spoo. Been a partner for 4 years. One of the first ones to become a Twitch partner with Marbles on Stream specifically. This was in the early days when Marbles, I don't even think, like, had barely even gotten a category on Twitch. Like, it wasn't really recognized. It took a while, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then eventually evolved into being the person who pushed Marbles harder than anybody else. Just an ultimate grind face mentality. Became the community manager of Pixel by Pixel Studios, in particular Marbles on Stream, and then into the content manager role for StreamSix. So currently doing all three of those things simultaneously. Not sure how he does it, but if you want to know anything about building a community, this guy's the one. Spoo, welcome on, dude.
What's up, guys? It's hilarious because what you were just talking about as I was listening in, I was thinking the same thing. Like, that's something I'm going to say, is the fact that I think humanity in general, we are just community-driven creatures, and something about that has disappeared over the past 50 to whatever years with the growth of technology and everything, and everybody, you know, sitting inside and doing their own thing and separating themselves from the outside world. But now it's like everybody online is now that we're getting more used to the technology and being online and what it is, what the internet actually is, and the people that are on the internet, like, everyone's starting to create these communities in all sorts of different aspects and all sorts of avenues in general. So it's like we're going back to the basics, but in a technological way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was gonna say.
And I think people strive for it. They're striving for it right now.
Right. I was gonna say, like, we may have gotten separate, but it almost feels like community has just become there's like another form of community now, like, because it's so inescapable. Now people, they went into, you know, we all went into the digital age and into technology. I think of MySpace and Facebook as these first, you know, big pushes, not like the early ones, but the first really mainstream ones. And those were about community. They were about building yourself so that other people could find you. It was literally a way to flag people down and say, hey, am I cool? Like, look at me. Am I, you know, do I smoke? Sometimes. Like, I don't know, just having that information over there on the side.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. And I'm playing Bittersweet Symphony on my page. So it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah. Who's in your top 8?
Oh, you
are you in my 5?
So, yo, seriously,
dude.
But yeah, I mean, I guess in general, it's like with technology, it's just globalized. It used to be just localized, and now it's like you're getting used to it, connecting with the entire world as opposed to just the people locally around you or whatever. So that getting used to that aspect, I think, is a huge evolutionary process in human existence. It's like now the entire world is connected as opposed to just local whatever. So and yeah, the acceptance of just all these people around the world, like, it's going to be huge. And you already see it over the past 10, 20 years, right? Just with the growth of the internet, like, so many people connecting. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's ironic that, kind of going back a little bit, what you said before, Spoo, about, like, you know, the social media and the internet's been around for, like, we're closing in on 50 years ish. Like, it's probably been closer to like 30 to 40, but, like,
it's wild.
It's ironic that the rise of social media platforms has initially made people antisocial. And it's because people were, a lot of it became a contest. Like, everybody was comparing each other to each other's highlight reels, because that's all people would post. Either that or they would just, you know, post something they were struggling about, and that's all they would post. But still, it wasn't, you weren't seeing all of everybody. You were just seeing tiny bits and pieces of people's lives, and that's what everybody was socializing with, quote unquote. So I think because technology moved so fast, by the time we started figuring stuff out and starting to catch up to how the internet was working, how social media was evolving, there was always something new that came out that now we had to figure out, not just how to navigate the sociability and community aspect of how these platforms were made, but we also have to figure out how they work. Yeah. And so by the time you figure out how they worked, there was something else on the rise. So you didn't have any time
Things
to like
move
actually
so
build.
fast
Right.
these days, man. It's wild.
Jeez.
You didn't have time to actually build a full-on community.
It's like you
of,
need
like,
community
people.
more than ever now to
Yeah.
like help
Right.
each other learn and advance and move along and what's more to come in general. Like, because there is always something new, like right around the corner.
There's
and
an
it's
app for
happening
that.
faster and faster every day.
Yeah. Let's get in. Let's get into this as far as streaming and content is concerned, because I think we're on this tipping point of considering what it's like to be, let's say, a streamer streaming to that big bupkis, that zero, right? How do you build from zero? Typically, I don't think many people are streaming to zero. You probably have that friend who's like checking you out, or hey, I'm going to stream this while we all hang out, and so you might have 2 or 3 people like kind of viewing it. But what are the most important things? Like Spoo, for you in particular, is somebody who kind of saw marbles, went ham into it, and grew a community, being one of the first people to become partnered based on marbles alone. I mean, I think the third partner outside of people associated with the studio. But what is it? What are the most important things about community and streaming and content creation that lets you build from zero to something like Twitch partner?
I mean, first off, I think 2 main things is getting out there and just talking to people and absorbing what the heck is going on in the space that you want to grow in and start in. If you want to start streaming, like check out what the heck people are doing to stream, and then just
wait, what do you mean? Can you go into that a little bit more? Like, what do you mean about checking it out? Like going to other streams, into their chats, and talking to people?
Yeah,
or
pretty
what?
much just hang out, just go be a viewer and see what it feels like to be a viewer, essentially. And then it's like, okay, this feels good, and okay, what's happening right now? Like, what's the streamer doing to make me feel good, essentially, and why do I want to hang out here? And then it's like, okay, do I like this? Do I want to sort of emulate this vibe? You know what I mean? Or I feel like just jumping in without doing any research, like anything, you're just going to fall flat on your face. Not that you're not going to learn, but it's going to take a lot longer, as if you didn't, prepare for it.
Tim, what do you think? I mean, what do you think about community engagement for yourself? I mean, you are the tech wizard, but you have some of the most unique ways in which you engage communities. You've coded a rock, paper, scissors back and forth. You have alerts that pop up when somebody says something for the first time in chat. You have weird things happen that allow people to interact. Like, from your own perspective, what are the most important things about community and how to build those numbers?
First off, if we had a podcast bingo saying, Tim, you're a tech wizard, would be one of the options there.
So I plan on saying it 3 or 4 more times, just
okay.
to be clear. So if you loaded up your bingo card, you're gonna win. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it out there. So Tim, anyway,
okay.
Tim, tech wizard. You're a tech wizard. So what? There's 2 more. Okay.
There we go.
It's going well. This is a great podcast.
This is great. This is fantastic.
Right.
So for me, like obviously, I come from a different type of background. So my networking and collaboration looks quite a bit different than I think most streamers would, because I'm not the one that's usually like, I want to be the front facing person. I want to be the one that's like doing all the things and making all the calls and stuff. I very much like working with people, especially on film sets, or working behind the scenes with some other streamers. Like I've worked with Harris Heller a decent amount, somewhat with Sam Woodhall. There's a couple others that I've done some stuff for too. I don't know if you guys know the 8-bit drummer. I've done like bits and things with him before. So for me, it's not so much that I enjoy like building myself up and building my own community, but I very much enjoy the networking aspect, because I like being able to get into other people's spaces and seeing like what is a need that they have that they can't fulfill on their own, and how can I better supplement that. So from my perspective, I come at it from much more of a networking space, where I go into people's chats, see what they need help with. Like I just reached out to Loco not too long ago. I don't know if you know who she is, but she was having
her Death Stranding playthrough. Back in the day.
Yeah. She was having a number of issues on her stream for something, because she was experimenting with YouTube and whatnot, and YouTube and Twitch operate very differently in terms of how the actual streaming functions. But it's just one of those things where you continuously build connections by seeing how you can help people out. So I think there's multiple facets on how you can build community. And there's multiple different type of communities. Like obviously there's not a one size fits all. So for me, building a community means like I'm bringing a bunch of people together that wouldn't have been together otherwise. And I think that's a big part of why you and I, Bex, have like ended up starting to work together. Like it started many years ago when I was in Pixel's chat and I saw that he had something that needed supplemented. So I was just typing in chat. We got to talking, and then long story short, started editing videos with him, and now like look where we're at now.
Now I'm
it's all
editing
wild,
videos
man.
for him
Yeah.
based on the fact that you taught me some editing principles, and then you and I have like we keep talking about this, dude, but we just like circled each other. It's so weird. There was a time where I don't think you and I spoke to each other for a year, and then just popped back up like, oh hey, oh this guy, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Hi.
It's kind of the same for all
hang
three of
out?
us, you know what
It
I mean?
really is,
Like,
yeah.
It's true. No, it
because
is
Bax,
true.
I met
Yeah.
you super early on in Marbles, and I like absolutely. I was making videos for Pixel at the time. I was making the clip videos
Oh
at the
my
time for
gosh.
I
Pixel.
remember that.
And you were in the
That's
very
right.
first video, and I remember I was like, "Man, this guy is hilarious. I love this guy." And then, like, I don't even know how long down the line, I ended up in your stream one night again, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" I forgot. Like, I didn't forget, but I was like, "Man, I haven't been
Right.
here in so long. It's so good here." And then I invited you to do one of the events. It was like end of season or mid season. I was like,
it was Marble Fest 2 months after I started streaming marbles in June of whatever that year was. I remember it because I was like, I've only been
"Was
here
it
a
Marble
month.
Fest?" I don't know, but it was something.
It was
and
no,
yeah.
it was I think it was Marble Fest. But anyway,
I just remember I ended up in your stream one night and I was like, I'm getting this guy on this event and I'm getting him sucked into marbles as hard as I can. And that's part of the community thing in general. Like if I see something someone's good at, I'm really going to try to just, if I can, you know, if I have the ability to just hype them up as much as possible, I want to.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a really good point as far as community is concerned. You're talking about it. You see the potential of somebody. This is something when I worked at Jimmy John's for a while. I was there for I think 3 years as a shift manager, and they would always say put your aces in their places. That was the thing that they always did, and it may make some people mad because they always do the same thing every time, but they were good at it, and I'm not going to make any comments about the managerial style there, but it does have, like, if you're looking at community and content online, you see somebody that's good at something, you definitely have an eye for saying you're good at this, let's put you to work. What can I do to help you get into this? And then you just push it, like, go, let's go. You know that. As far as community is concerned, I'm not even going to ask like how important is community because it's a question that already has an answer, and the answer is community is synonymous with content. You can't actually separate the two. There's no way to separate
it's just
them.
like the natural way it happens.
It just
like,
is. Yeah. If two
If you're
people are in
creating
a chat,
content, your community is going to form, and
done.
you know.
Because
it's the idea. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, because content is connection. If you're not
Right.
building a community, you don't have a connection. If you're not building, because like they both supplement each other. There has to be some sort of connection with you and your audience or your community. Otherwise, there's no purpose to it. And like, who's going to stick around for that?
Right. The more important question isn't how important community is. The more important question from me and hopefully from the people who are out there in the trenches, what are the challenges that you are going to run into building a community? What are the hardships? What are the trials? What are the things that people might not think about? And then what are ways in which you overcome them? Whether it's a story. I mean, I know that, you know, one of the hardest things for me is dealing with people who are in the community who might get how do I put it nicely? They might get feisty. People in the community might get a little feisty. So when it comes to community building, that's the hardest part for me, is saying you're a part of my community, but you're a little too feisty. It's actually affecting the community, and then having those difficult conversations. What about you, Spoo? What do you think as far as what are some challenges?
It's tough, man.
You know?
It's tough because you really have to ride the line. Because there's this goes back to the amount of different people that there are. Like you should set your boundaries, right? And stick to your boundaries, but still there's some people that you're able to poke fun with more than other people. So and
Right,
sometimes
yeah.
you might want to poke fun, and you just got to kind of like ride these waves of, and if you end up crossing a line, just hope that, you know, the person understands and, you know, apologize or whatever. It's tough, man. It's a lot of just like reading the room type situation stuff and the understanding of people and testing the waters. And that goes back to the viewer side of things too, because you have to go into streams reading the room. If you're one of those like viewers that, you like to mess around a bit or whatever, not every stream understands that, and you might just get banned right off bat. So you gotta dip your toes in before you really dive hard, and I think that's important as a streamer too. You welcome people in to your stream if you see that they're new, but you don't like hold them by their ankles and ask them 100 questions right when they get in there. That scares people off. You just let them dip their toes as well.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, this is not. I'm
you
here.
just
like,
let them know that they're welcome
yeah.
and like whatever. Ask any questions you want, and we're just here to have a good time, and let's go.
I think there's two, from my perspective, I think there's two different facets to getting started, or there's two different answers to getting started, which would be, one, getting your foot in the door to like find what type of people you want to pursue for a community. That's the hardest part, like, because getting started in most things is the hardest part. Like, once you get the ball rolling, then you have the momentum, you've got stuff helping you on the side, but like getting started and getting your foot in the door is often the hardest part. The other hardest part is being okay with being told no, because there's going to be like aggression, or being aggressive, not aggression, I should say. Being aggressive is a good thing. Being what's a good way to put it? Spoo, you kind of already said it.
Assertive, maybe? Is that kind of where you're...
Well, it's okay to be aggressive.
Jumping the gun or something like that?
Well, being aggressive, being assertive is good. Being pushy when you hear a no is the bad part. And that's what's going to push people away.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
I think that's it's also such a good thing when streamers do that, right? And they stick to their boundaries. Like, people really respect that.
Yeah, you definitely want to hold your boundaries, and like be confident. And I think, and that's not being confident is a skill set, and like obviously it comes more naturally for some people than others.
Yes.
So like if that's your weakness, then find a way to capitalize on your weakness. Because the only people that make it are the ones that know what their weaknesses are and know how to work around them. And so that's part of like what finding the right people that can help you out with that. Is so crucial, because then you have people that are constantly helping you work on your weakness, so that then you can actually turn it into a strength and use it for something better.
Okay, this is brilliant. This leads into two first things. First of all, I have not always been a confident person, and I actually was the opposite. Like, all the way through high school and even college, I was confident when I was playing sports, because you don't have to think about anything but winning. So it was like easy. It was like, just go out here and put the ball in the net, whatever it was, tennis, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, you name it. Like, it's just okay, done. Actually, tennis, don't put the ball in the net. Okay, and then moving past that, but building confidence is something in the streamer sphere that you can do more easily than in social spheres in person. Going into a stream and just saying, hey, how's it going? What do you normally stream? And just hanging out for 50 minutes and talking to people, that builds confidence. You may not feel that it builds confidence, but you do that enough times, you start to know people, you start to feel more comfortable in the sphere, you gain confidence. For me, I had to do that both in the digital sphere, but also in the physical sphere. And I would practice by going into coffee shops and asking the person in front of me in line a question. And it was the most anxiety-inducing thing, because I was just so socially anxious, and I'd just be like, "Hey, how's your day going? I notice, you're whatever."
Yeah.
And that, geez,
it's
ripping
so
that
good for you,
Band-Aid off,
though, right?
it is.
You just like feel like you can just. It's getting used to it, right? That's
Correct.
The whole point of it.
It's getting used to it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Confidence comes from not being worried. That's the crossover. And to kind of like jump away from confidence and go into what both of you kind of mentioned without mentioning it, it's authenticity. Yep. I think authenticity in a streamer is vital. Not only is it vital, it is necessary for you to be who you are in a stream, even if you think it might sacrifice your data. Even if you think your viewership will like not be as high if you don't mimic XQC or something. You know what I mean?
So to just to point on that real quick, like you're going to build the community that you actually want to build when you're being yourself. You know, if you're just being somebody else or like not showing off who you really are, you're just going to build this community of people who don't know who you are. And then one day it's all going to blow up in your face because you're going to show who you really are. And then it's like, oh, crap. So if you just, and it's a hard thing to do because that's where the confidence comes into play, like showing off who you are, saying the things you just want to say and like building that community of like-minded people. It's like such a huge thing. And it's a really hard thing to do to open that social book or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, the more that I started opening up in general about who I am, the things, just that the thoughts that are just flowing through my head, I truly believe I'm not an evil, terrible, person. So I don't think my thoughts are going to cross any lines where I'm going to get banned or anything. Maybe some people have that issue and they need to filter things, but I just let my thoughts flow. And I think that really helps build that, that community, and the word you said that I can't think of right now, the authentic like community around how like who you are.
Yeah. And don't confuse inauthenticity with being a streamer and putting on a show. Because I think like
important.
Going back to, I don't want to like keep going back to, but what we were talking with Dreezy about in the first episode was the fact that a lot of times streamers view us as, or just people view us as people that just like, we put on a show for people, but this isn't like actually their true self. And Dreezy's just a rare breed in and of himself. But again, that's not, but being on a show necessarily isn't being inauthentic. That's just like an extension of yourself. Cause like, you're not just boiled down to one character set. Like you have multiple traits and aspects of yourself, and that's just one of them. And like being able to build a community around that.
Yeah, it's like a droplet of your reel that you're
right, and
out.
people get to see the rest of you once they become a part of that community as well.
This is so cool. So something I want to tie in here. Twitch's co-founder / CEO Emmett Shear, he was talking about this is in 2020 at the annual leadership meeting for the Advertising Bureau. He said that when they were founding Twitch, they thought they were making an entertainment business, and everything about it was geared towards entertainment. And they quickly, like within the first year or so, he said they realized it was actually a community-oriented business. They realized that what they were not providing was entertainment. What they were providing is community. And what he uses to mention that is that when you click end stream, the community does not stop existing. Like the idea of entertainment is that like if you're watching a TV show on a syndicated network, when that show ends, the show is over. But when a stream ends, people will talk about it. People can still be in the chat. People will go to Discord, to a forum, to their YouTube channel, to other aspects of how can I stay involved in this community. Community is something, as far as when people are getting into content or people might not know, or they're getting into streaming, community isn't something where when I'm live, I'm a part of a community. You are creating something that doesn't stop existing. It's something that will grow organically in any way or direction that you want it to grow. Even when you are not live, it's something that keeps going, right? It's something that won't stop. Is there something in how much time somebody should be thinking about community off the air versus on the air? Like what? I don't know. Like, what do you guys think?
I actually want to add on to that question. Yeah, it's probably half. So I want to add on to this question for Spoo.
Please.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Because he's been around the block for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's.
I've been around.
What was that noise? I'm sorry. No,
it was two words.
Can we take a 10-minute sequitur here? A tangent. What was that noise though?
I'm old.
Yeah, but you said it while dying.
We'll have to run it back and listen to it.
For the audio-only listeners right now, I hope yours confuses me. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. Please continue. No, please.
Incredible.
Put that on the soundboard. My goodness. That is,
Good.
Speaking of creating content, this is how you do it live.
This is fantastic. Okay, back to the back to the question. So an extension of that. So Spoo, you've been around for a while, so you've kind of seen what works and what doesn't for community building, because you and even Pixel really have had to experiment a lot, especially with building a marbles community. You tried like directly implementing feedback from the viewers, like you took every piece of feedback you got and implemented it, and that was, I think you guys quickly found out that it was like too many cooks in the kitchen and stuff, and then you just decided like, this is what I want to do to develop a game or to develop a community, and I'm just going to stick to that. And feedback is still welcome and important, but there's an aspect of like, what kind of feedback do you take and do you implement, and what type is just like, this is just part of the noise, and how do you ignore the noise of all the naysayers that like don't necessarily like the direction you're going, even if you think you are heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I think at this point, like, regardless of what people say, it's kind of just a path of, tying everything together here of what we were saying, a path of hitting every literal aspect. Like, there is so much variety. If you want to take marbles, it started off as just like one idea, and now there's endless ideas. There's just endless ideas in marbles. If you want to grind your face off, you can grind your face off and go competitive, climb the leaderboard, streamer, racer side, or on the tilted side, because there's separate leaderboards. If you just want to play death tracks, cam on the cob and like try to give away, there's the giveaway people too, or maybe you just want to beat the death track, who knows? But then there's cinematic stuff. I do cinematic stuff. There's trying to beat world records. There's building like there's just, I could go on and on and on like Bubba on freaking Forrest Gump, you know what I mean? And I think that's everything I know about marbles on stream.
Okay, so speaking of community, for the community listening to this, can we get that over the top of that video clip, please, and thank you, and send it to us? That'd be amazing.
I got you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't really know where to go with that, but like, variety. And that's again where the community falls into line, because you find your pocket. Maybe you really hate, oh man, this guy is always doing death tracks and I never finish the race. I hate that. But this guy over here is always doing the lapse tracks where everybody finishes. And it's like, that's what I like. I don't like seeing marbles. I only want to build tracks, and I love when I see streamers building or using my tracks, and it doesn't even matter what the track, just like, there's whatever pocket you want to find is where you need to go find. And to tie in together the boundaries and the saying no thing too, like, that's it. It's okay to be like, no, I don't like this. I'm going to go find something in this game that I do like, and not just go poop on the things that you don't like, just put it aside. Be like, okay, people over here are liking this. That's that little community, and I like this. Or maybe you like both things and you don't like this third thing. Or maybe you like everything and you're getting involved in everything. And there's just, the variety is key. And the more that there is to do because of the variety of people in the world, and we're connecting the entire world through these games or whatever, the more variety there is for people to create these pockets of communities, the better. And then it's all tied under one community of interactive gaming, or whatever that interactive game is, say Marbles or Race Day, or, StreamSix is like the connection of all these things.
Yeah.
Right. How important, okay, so how important is it to find the niche? It sounds like it sounds like all three of us in one way or another have said in more words than are necessary that pleasing everybody is not the key to community. But that can be a mindset that many people, when they get into content, adopt. They adopt the mindset of, I want every single viewer and follower to like me. Every single person who comes through here, because that's
where those tribulations come into play.
That's how I'm gonna raise my numbers. That's how I'm gonna get my viewership. When I get higher viewership, I'm gonna get more people. When I get more people, but then if you look at the top, the people who are slaying the game on the Twitch platform, on the YouTube platform, they are not making content that everyone's gonna like. Like, obviously, there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes, and we are oversimplifying. But
people always see that top; they don't see the build up to that, and how that person built the community.
So you're Tim, nothing to me but numbers.
And that's for another episode. So what is that? As far as the niche is concerned, how important is it in building a community and engaging them to have a niche and stick to it?
I think it's really important, and that's so, I think about as a content creator my strengths and weaknesses or whatever, and I think that's partially my weakness and the weakness of variety itself in general. Like it can be tough because there's so much as well. Like variety can be so good in some aspects and really tough in others. So if I don't necessarily stick to one thing, even though I play marbles and I play these interactive games, let's say, but I'm switching through different interactive games. And when I do marbles, I do a bunch of different things. So I'm not doing like the same thing. And people do, there are communities that build around that same thing every single day. It's just comfortable to do the same thing every single day. They don't want to change it up. And then there's communities that grow around, oh, this is a new thing today. And then he's doing something else this day. And then there's an event coming on and he's never, this is a brand new event and he's doing it one time ever. Who knows? But then that's what I like to do. I like to have a mixture of all these different things going on. But I think a niche is potentially stronger to like grow a core community, because that's like, so you can go both ways. I think in growing a community, there's all these different routes you can go. You can look at the niche of, let's say, marbles, and maybe look at who's doing the best and at the top, and that this is the way they're playing, and maybe I should play it that way. But ultimately, it goes back again to just you. What is your core? What makes you feel good? Talk about bring out you, like play the game how you want to play and grow the community around how you want to play it. Don't just play it because you see somebody else doing it a certain way and they have 500 viewers or whatever,
Okay, as a thought, and then I want to hear from Tim on this. Like this to talk about community engagement, how important the niche is and how it affects like in real time. Like I'm a partnered streamer, but I'm partnered specifically around marbles and around the event, the Pro Marbles League and Record Hunters are two shows that I run. When I stream other games, the viewership is not 100, 150. The viewership is 10, 20, maybe. Right? Like if I go play Mario Kart, I know that Spoo, you do some Mario Kart, but if I were to play Mario Kart, I'm probably looking at 10 or 20 people. It's not like 150 people are there because my community is oriented around the content that is my niche and identity. I'm not branded as a variety streamer. People who are variety streamers and are successful in doing so, that's their niche is the way in which they have done variety content for so long.
Right.
Like they do it in a way. They aren't just somebody who goes out and does this. There are things about them that are different. They're unique. So I think that niche it always applies. Find the authentic niche that you want to fill, and then I don't know, just friggin' do it. But know that it's not. Yeah, it's like we I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think what I'm trying to say is that there's no, like, don't have expectations and just feel free to do what you got to do, but know that your identity is what pulls people, whether you're a Twitch partner or whether you're streaming for the first time. It does not matter.
You know what? Your niche could be your community.
Right.
That could be the thing that sets you apart in the first place. Like if you, let's say, like, you're not the most skilled Apex player, you're trying to stream in a saturated market, or you're trying to stream in a market that doesn't have that much pull anyways, or like in general, like, or you like to play retro games or something. Like, I think no matter what market you're going to stream in, there's going to be roadblocks that you're going to hit. And I think the niche talk has been such a vast majority of talking points that a lot of large streamers have been going to nowadays, at least the ones that are giving like the helpful tips and stuff. But the one thing that I think is, well, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are lacking because everybody's trying to figure everything out at this point anyways, but a big thing that is lacking from a lot of what they're talking about is the fact that you can build your niche around your community. You can build your niche around the people that are there with you every single day. Like, do stuff with them on your stream. Like, if you can't find a niche that you can specifically do, like if you don't know how to edit super well because you haven't been doing it that long, if you're not that great at games, like what can you build around your community that can become your niche?
Even sort of offline stuff, like you try to connect your community offline, in Discords. Maybe you have a movie night, or you play a game offline, you can just kind of hang out. Like that's a great way to, if you're a variety streamer, to just kind of like connect elsewhere, as opposed to people just kind of come and watch you. Like I don't know, there's so many different ways to navigate that.
Yeah, I mean, you as like a community manager in a sense, like it's almost like you're always on, even when you're not live. You're always on. You're always
I'm
being
always
involved.
in a stream, hopping around,
Right.
like dropping a ball somewhere, or at least watching and just seeing what's going on.
Yeah, I mean that's what I have been doing for I don't know how many years at this point. I started on Twitch in like early 2015, and I had a viewership initially because I signed on to Twitch for the first time in 2014, so I was hanging out in streams and talking to people constantly. So when I eventually started, I already had a small group of people, but it was still a lot of fun because like I had people there that I could just talk to. And I was able to build around that.
Yeah, true.
And I didn't necessarily...
just a huge point right there. Focus on the people there, and don't focus on the people not there. That's a big.
I was just happy to like have people there to talk to and stuff. I didn't really care about any of the other aspects of it. Like, and again, I never went into streaming saying like I'm going to be a professional streamer, or I'm going to be like the next top streamer or content creator or whatever. Because I work in film typically. But that aside, that's something that I think anybody to some degree can do. And again, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit, go back to what we were talking about at the start of this show. But there's an aspect of having to learn how to be social in a new and type of environment. I think we're still figuring out how Twitch works. We're still figuring out how YouTube works. Like it's something that, and it's ever changing too. So I don't know if we'll ever completely figure it out. But in terms of being able to network, like I've not always been the best networker in the world. I still am not great at networking. And being someone who just physically and mentally can't read social cues the same way that most people can, I had to develop a lot of muscle memory to be able to recognize those things. Even if I can't personally perceive them and feel them myself, I recognize that they exist, and I recognize that they have an impact on how you interact with people. So like taking it from me, somebody who is still struggling with it to this day and still trying to learn and continuously learn, like I don't learn as fast as everybody. So like the fact that Bax calls me a tech wizard is weird to me, because it's just like I can always think of somebody else who progressed quicker than me in some other area. Somebody was a better editor than me faster. Somebody who was better cinematographer.
But do they maintain the information?
Some do, but that's the thing is like
there's always somebody better, right?
There's
matter
always,
what it is.
but that's the thing is like it's not about them. It's about how you can provide or how you can learn.
Yes.
Right.
Because like
also you're a great teacher, and you really you go
and
out
that's
of your way
weird
to
for
help
me to
people,
hear.
so that's like
Yeah.
like I never thought of myself as a teacher, but that's the thing is like there's you can sometimes use your weaknesses as a strength just because you want to provide value to people.
right.
My teaching is not a strength for me. I'm fully admitting that is not a strength. I am not a good teacher. I'm okay
that
with
blows
saying
my mind.
that.
No, that is ridiculous. You are
but
wrong. You are wrong. No, that is
No, but
Wait, I feel like
this hill. There is nobody who is quicker and more thorough at teaching
True.
anybody anything than you. Like you will be in whatever call about anything. Someone will be like, this just doesn't make sense. And you'll be like, I'm here for the next 3
Yeah.
hours. What do you want me
Yeah,
to do?
exactly.
I will figure it out. I will research it, and I will give you the step-by-step instructions, and then anything you need for the next 4.5 years, I'm there for you.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry,
but
that's
again,
a good teacher.
But again, to be fair though, like that was not always the case. Like that took
That's fair.
years
That's fair.
and
Yeah,
years and years of refining. Like you asked me to try and teach you something like 10 years ago. What I would do is just
Right.
go in and do it.
Right.
I didn't know how to teach somebody how to do something. Because I would just like somebody would come and ask me for help, and I was like, okay, let me take a look. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna do this and I'll do this. I would just do a bunch of things, and they would have no idea what I was doing. and it like they would not be able to replicate it afterwards just because I went in and did something. So
Mhm.
and that was something.
This ties into confidence, right?
Right.
Where you're so comfortable in these spaces now, when somebody asks you for help, you don't even second guess it because you're so confident going into DaVinci Resolve, into whatever program, into Sammy, into OBS, and you can just boom, and that took years of experience.
Hey,
Yeah, it took
real quick. Hopping around into streams can potentially be the same thing, right? Like you were talking about, Bax, like tapping somebody on the shoulder in front of you and just saying something. Like, even though it's online, there's still that nerve-wracking feeling of like hopping into a stream and like there's people in here and there's a streamer. Like, they're going to say something to me if I say something in chat, you know? Like, there is that social aspect to it. And if you start doing that, if you just start hopping around and just, you know, don't be combative with people, don't like fight people, you just kind of hang out and test the waters everywhere, be a nice person. Whatever. If you don't like where you're at, you just leave and try another place. Like, it's changing the channel, you know, and that's fine. Again, it's okay to say no and be like, whatever. But like just dipping your toes into the waters, you get so much more used to doing it. And then it's like, okay, I'll hop into a stream, I'll say hi, I'll test the vibes. If I don't like it, I'll leave, I'll hang out, whatever. That's networking. Like, you're just testing the vibes of people that you like vibe with, and then that's where you're meeting your community of people. It's like, okay, I kind of dig this. I'll remember this. I'll follow them and get alerts or whatever.
Well, I need to push this in a direction because it's so good. This is amazing. Also like I want to offer the yin or the yang to that yin, and that is that you might say hi and they don't say anything to you. You might go unrecognized. That there is confidence and self-respect in you having somebody not see what you say and then allowing that to be what happened. It may seem so simple to put it that way, but if you go into a chat and you say hi and they're busy, they got 50 other people there, 1,000 people, whatever it is, and they don't respond, that's not personal. We're all streamers, we know, but it's like I want to say hi to everybody all the time, but you have a show to run. You're putting on a show. You got things to do. It's not just that. There's another aspect of community that is a challenge for me, and it's something that I think we should at least briefly discuss, and that is people that you enjoy hanging out with are going to leave. I have had this happen to, people will be in your community every single day. And you get to know them, and they will vanish. They will just off the face of the planet, and they might come back. I mean, to this day, right?
You never know what happens, right?
You never know. But it's just to say that, like, know that this is a space. You aren't creating this space like I control you. Like, here, my community is my community. These are stalwart loyalists, and let's go do things. These are human beings with lives, and they may have to go without any notification. They may leave. Remember that community is about the space. The people are in the space and they make up that community, but your community is not dependent on specific people being in that space. It's anybody who is in that niche of content, authentic content that you're creating. I think that was a long ramble, but I hope it got the point across.
No, I made a lot of, it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is like, I think that also ties into the fact that you shouldn't be focusing on numbers, because like the numbers are not the primary concern. The numbers are a byproduct of your effort as a person. I think because they will naturally follow if you. I don't want to say if you do everything right, because for one,
what is right,
and failing forward is how you are able to actually make progress. Because if you do everything right, then you don't know what's wrong.
I think this touches into basically not like being there for the people who are there. So whether you're looking at your viewer like numbers or not, always assume there's just somebody watching and you're putting on a show, and sometimes that person is going to interact and then you can respond to that interaction, but you're there and you're putting on a show, or you're playing a game and you're talking about the game, or you're teaching the game, or you're playing music, whatever it is you're doing, you're doing that, and you're trying to connect with people in the chat as much as you can and draw them out. I don't know. I always have that mindset of like, even if chat's not moving type of a thing, even if you have that 0 number, like the only way to attract people is to just be putting on a show. And sometimes what you're doing is going to pull people out and say something, and then that's kind of like the interaction starter as a streamer.
That I had somebody like to put this point home. I had somebody just last week who reached out to me on Discord and said, "By the way, I never drop a marble in your stream, but I've watched your Pro Marbles League streams for like a few seasons just because they're really fun to watch and lurk in." And this person, I did not know who they are at all, but they finally reached a point where they're like, "I'm just going to tell them that I watched their stream." I had no idea. But this ties back into when like when I was starting streaming and I only had 1, 2, 5, maybe 10 on a good day people watching, and half of them aren't talking, right? So it feels like you're at a bar with 2 friends and you guys are dominating everything. But people, like, there are different aspects of ways in which people can engage in your community. Don't force people to engage in your community in a specific way unless that's your community's identity, which gets a little too meta, but you said, you're creating
that space, right? Like you're creating that space, and people are coming in and they're like, do I like this space? Should I hang out here? Like, is this a space I want to keep hanging out? Regardless of like being able to interact with the streamer, I guess. Because there's some, to get a little raw with it, there's some streamers who will just sit there and wait for someone to say something in chat, and there's nothing going on. So of course people are just going to hop in and leave, like, because there's nothing going on. And there's how many more than 50% of viewers are just watchers. They're just looking for something to watch.
Yeah.
Or
which
listen
is a part,
to.
which is a part of being a part of a community. Like this is the thing. If somebody watches, like let's take Twitch completely out of this, and let's say YouTube community. Like I feel like you watch somebody's YouTube video. Like there was somebody I used to watch, and right now I'm brain farting. I cannot think of their name, which is really awkward because I watch them every day for like 2.5 years. Anyway, so they and I would watch their stream every day. I felt connected to them, but there is no interaction specifically between us besides like an offline forum where people discuss the things they were talking about. It was an education video vodcast, I think is what
they're just doing things that connect to you, right?
Yes, exactly. But that's like there's still a connection. There's still a connection there, even though I'm not directly involved in like what Twitch can do, which is, oh, you're doing something live and I get to enter like hi, and now I have a psychological reaction to a hi to say, hi, what's up? Like, how are you doing? That doesn't exist on YouTube. That's not there. But
this is like the Jetsons. You ever watch it as a kid, the Jetsons? You're like, man, they're talking screen to screen, and now we're here, man. We're here.
Yeah, the Jetsons predicted the future. Now it's no longer the Simpsons. Like, I think the Simpsons became the Jetsons.
Until I get my hover car, like, we ain't the Jetsons.
That's true. That's true. And living in those like sky high houses.
To be fair though, like the Jetsons like had video calling. They had online doctor's appointments. They had the
robot maids.
Well, I don't know
the
about
robot.
Yeah. Well, some of the stuff they got wrong, but some stuff was right. But
hold on, robot maids are on the feet. I'm sorry,
they're close.
Hey,
we got AI.
We have Roombas.
We're getting it. Yeah, we have Roombas. Yeah, we're close. We're close.
Actually, wait, is a Roomba just the Jetsons manifest? I think
no. It needs.
It's a little more than
AI.
that.
It's got to be more AI.
Yeah, it's not quite there yet.
You could take your Amazon Echo and you could just tape it to the top of your Roomba, and then it just goes around.
Alexa, how does it feel to spin in circles? I just probably set off a bunch of Alexas that are listening.
And now I'm curious what the answer to that question is, though. Yeah. Probably like, I do not understand the question. Oh, did you ask how many circles of circle footage your apartment is? 612. 612 circles of footage.
Alexa does the measurements on the Roomba.
Oh, wow. Next level.
Bada bang.
Man. Okay. I'm sure somebody's done this, but this to bring it back into this, like the idea here is that I think what Spoo touched on as well is hyper important, and that is when you are on stream or when you are making a video, your video can have 1 view, it can have 100,000 views. Your stream can have 1 viewer, it can have 1,000 viewers. Whoever is there is there. Don't think about who isn't there. Don't think about what the number should be. Don't think about what you could be doing better in that moment, because in the moment, you have people who are engaging with you. You get to choose in those live moments how that engagement is going to affect them. You are literally spending time with somebody else out of their life and your life.
And
Like-
if you're
like-
spending that time to talk about something else going on, or some other person that's not there or whatever, or maybe you're just
Right.
doing nothing because they're not chatting with you,
Right.
they're gone.
They're gone. Or at the very least, the best case scenario for you in that circumstance is they're going to remember that you didn't engage with them. They're going to remember that. Maybe they like you enough to keep coming back anyway. Rock
Give them
and
another
roll.
try.
Like,
It does happen,
Of course,
But-
of course. Yeah, but
But
it's
don't
just to
rely
say,
on it.
Yeah, don't
like,
rely on messing up the
engage-
first
Yeah.
time.
Engage. I think that's the number one thing. I honestly, and all the things that we've been talking about in this, I think the most important thing is be with the people who are there in the content you are creating. If somebody comments on your YouTube video, respond. Like, unless you're getting like millions of views, and then that's a business. This is no longer, that's something completely separate. But when you are creating content, engage with the people on the ground
true.
floor where they are and what they want. Somebody's like, oh, that
You can
was
even,
really cool.
things I've seen, like even giant creators do, is be the first comment and be like, yo, what did you think of this? Like, whatever, like
Oh, yeah,
some
pin
part
it.
in whatever video or thing, and then pin that message, or, try to engage your community like that. It's kind of like putting up a poll or something in a live Twitch, right? You're asking your community a question, just live. So if you make a YouTube video, let's say the YouTube video is about, let's say you I don't know, like one of mine, a world record video, and you ask, oh, which was your favorite time that was beat or something, just something, just engaging, trying to engage no matter what. And then to put it on stream too, if you're, let's say this is, I've been saying this piece of advice forever, but you're on stream and like no one's engaging, but you feel like, people are always coming in and out. People are checking streams. So
Yeah.
you just got to talk to yourself sometimes. So I literally, and it's just a brainstorming practice basically, but you ask yourself questions. You just ask questions, like random questions that you might think about randomly, like, are there aliens out there? And then you just answer it yourself too. And you're like, there might be aliens out there. This thing is going on and that. And like when I was a kid, this and that over there, whatever. And like you just start talking about stuff, and you never know who's going to just come in and hear you rambling and engage with whatever it is you're talking about. And aliens is just an example, but you could talk about the game you're playing and dive into it. Be like, man, I really want to learn the meta more on this. And I'm going to pull up Google and look up like, how can I do this, or, whatever. Just like, you just have to let your brain juice flow. And so many people will sit there in silence for so long. And I get it. I was there. I was never such an open person. I would never rant like this years ago and go on and on about whatever. But you get somebody on the right topic and they are going to do that.
Yeah.
And nowadays there's a lot of topics, I guess, in my brain. I've just soaked up a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
and
hopefully
people will listen.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this is more motivational than anxiety-inducing. But I would see every interaction as an opportunity, because you never know what that interaction can lead to.
It's
as an
true.
example, like what we mentioned earlier with my interaction with Pixel, and that's if I hadn't said that one comment in his chat, I said something about audio. It wasn't even about editing. It was about audio. If I hadn't have said that, we would probably not we probably wouldn't be on this podcast right now. This would not happen.
Here's
Like, think
a-
about that.
Right? Butterfly effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhat similar journey. If it wasn't for me deciding I wanted to network more, I would have never. Well, it would have been longer until I ran into Marbles, because I joined this like team, and they would hop around stream to stream and like visit so many streams. I was visiting like 20
Marble
streams a day.
team.
That's where I first started like just learning to hop around streams and network. And like I ran into Pixel Mike doing this little event or whatever for Marbles, like season 1, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And this had been like maybe the 60th, 70th stream on this journey of joining this team, like hopping around or whatever. And that's, again, that's where I got the idea for Marble Team down the road too. But Yeah, and then I ran into marbles, and I got heavily into marbles. I stopped doing that other thing because I felt like I found the thing, and then I just started doing it myself. I was like, I'm gonna do this, but for this game. This game's new. There's these opportunities within the game. It's like you kind of need people to play for the qualified races, and I just got so attracted to this whole community vibe of it, of teaching people, getting people in my races, getting other people's races filled up, and just like talking about everything, the meta, the whatever. Like everything. Is just this crazy wave, and you see it more in more interactive games coming out. Like you see people wanting more in terms of that community vibe. Like to start to touch on the very beginning of these conversations, you just see people wanting it. And whether it's, maybe marbles isn't their thing, but they really like race cars. So they're like waiting for race day to be more like marbles in certain aspects or something, or whatever game, maybe Levi, or maybe somebody wants like an RPG type interactive, like who knows? There's all, again, going back to the pockets of communities. You got to create these pockets of interactive communities.
This is something too where you have to and to be very, very clear about this, you allow yourself whatever that process is for you. There is not there's too much advice out there that says this is the way to do it. It's not to say there aren't good practices, but I started streaming a game called Star Realms, and it was a game that was not streamed. I was the first one to start making content for that game. And by doing that to like 5, maybe 10 people on a really good day, when I'm running like a big old event or something, I got 20 people there because it's a very niche community once again. But then the company reaches out to me to start streaming on their official channel. And so then I started doing that to about the same amount of viewership. Once again, it's a niche. There's a limited pull. From there, I went into playing puzzle games. And so then I would just hang out with people and play puzzle games like The Witness, which is still one of my favorite puzzle games ever made. And this is still 5 to 10 people. I'm doing this. I'm still looking at viewership at this point. I'm looking at analytics. I'm obsessed with my numbers. I'm trying to do all this stuff. And then I delete everything. I literally packed my computer up, my PC, and I put it in the closet to stop everything. And I stopped streaming. I went dark, completely dark. And then after about 6 months, I got it back out, got back into streaming. And then shortly after that, started getting into marbles and Rocket League consequently, which, I've done a lot of commentary and casting for. But then that's my process. And then I spent the last 3.5 years messing around with marbles, and doing marble stuff. And then it took me a 1.5 years of marble stuff to cross the threshold of Twitch partner. That's the path. That is not a line. Yeah. That's not linear. Your path will be whatever it has to be. Don't overthink it. Allow yourself to just do whatever your niche is and whatever you're passionate about. Engage people in those things when they show up, and then assess after the fact and say, okay, was that fun? Did I enjoy that? What are my goals? And then you can keep evolving. I didn't know I would be streaming marbles when I started streaming. I didn't want to be a professional streamer. I didn't want to do any of this stuff. I barely knew how to video edit it back then. I'm just saying, it's wild. It is wild to look at this. And I just want to be so encouraging to anybody out there. Just follow your path. Allow yourself growth. Allow yourself the ability to make mistakes, and don't judge yourself. Let your path be what it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from my perspective. My streaming path and my career never had anything to do with the game I was playing. It was never about playing Donkey Kong 64, Rocket League, and then somebody making fun of me for trying to play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. But
okay, so I wish we had an hour to unpack all that.
That's
leading with Donkey Kong 64 gets my attention.
Oh that was my game back in the day. That was it. Right. I loved it.
It's a good game.
It's fantastic. But no matter what I was doing, it was never really about the game I was playing. Even when I did marbles for a while, and marbles was probably the game I got the highest viewership on. That was where the only game I've ever surpassed 100 viewers on. It was never really about what I was playing, but more of how I was interacting with people. Because that was my niche. I had like as you've said before, like a unique skill set in some way. So like I transitioned to editing streams, and people would come and just hang out and watch me edit. Like, but even then, it was still not necessarily about the fact that I was just editing something. Like, you know, of course there was different audiences for different things, but at the end of the day, people were just glad I was there. And I think you've spoken about that before, Bax, where, you know, sometimes you could just be the community that somebody is looking for. It doesn't matter what you're playing. It matters that you're there. And it matters that you're providing a place for someone to be.
So as far as saying no, when do you say no? When do you like what I mean, we're talking about all these different aspects. What about no? What about
So this is when you're a streamer, you're taking control, like you are creating that space, you're running the show, like you have to have the confidence. There's a lot of times where people will come by and they'll try to get you to do things as a streamer, right? So it's like sometimes you can lean into that a bit, but the more you lean into that, the more they're going to get rewarded from it and want to do it more. So if you don't want to go down that path of people always, you know, spitting things and telling you to do things, you have to start saying no or whatever. And that's where these things come into play, because it's like, okay, I know how my stream's going to go. Let's say I'm running a marbles thing and this is how the points are and this is how the prizes are. Boom, that's it. Someone says, "Oh, this is unfair. I think it should be this." It's like, well, this is how it is and this is how we're going. And they either deal with it or they don't, and then you handle that however you handle it as a streamer. But that's just like you're taking control and you're cracking the whip and you're creating those boundaries. And or you don't even acknowledge them, right? They may mention something and you just keep ignoring all of their advancements, right? Because you're just running the show, and it's like, this person's trying to change what I'm doing. I'm just going to do what I'm doing. They can leave if they want to. Like, I'm creating, you know, again, going back to that, it's tough because you want to please everyone. It's like such a hard path to navigate, man. It really is.
You know, it's almost like you have to say no to people pleasing. Because
that's the first no, right?
Yeah, that's the first no, is no to people pleasing, right? Because if you get stuck in the rut of trying to be everything for everyone, there's multiple things that are going to happen that are going to go completely wrong. Is one, you're going to burn yourself out. True. I think that's the most obvious one. Two, you're going to push people away because they're going to see that you're not being authentic, like you were talking about earlier. And three, it's actually going to hold you back from being your authentic self and being everything you can be as a content creator and a streamer. And you're not really building a community, because then you're not really finding a niche at that point. You're not finding the community of people that you're supposed to have, really. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how big or small that community is. It's like you want the people that will care about you and that will care about your content most of all, because those are the people that matter most. So, because it's good. You don't want to be the person that's just like
some people call them the golden viewers. They're just there no matter what. Like, no matter what you do, no matter what you try, the mistakes you make, they're just kind of there to support you and be there for you. And like, it's so, again, it's just a hard path to navigate, because you just, it's.
I think I as a very short answer, and I lean very heavy on this side, like I might be very extreme, but I think you say no whenever you want to. I think you have to take full autonomy and agency to just say no to anything that doesn't jive. That is hard, and I had to learn that the hard way, because I said yes a lot and I got into trouble. I stopped being able to fulfill promises I was making to people, and that was bad. That was bad news, and it was really awkward, and I had a bunch of egg on my face, and it was awful. I hate that.
Ready for some Pavlov? Just like when you find
Pavlov
yourself,
me right now? You're Pavlov? Okay, Pavlov. Sure.
When you find yourself going like, like you got to explain something to a viewer because you're afraid to say no, like that's what happens, right? You're like, oh, I gotta like explain this, or I gotta to try to make them feel good about me saying no. When you're going, no, just say it. You just gotta train yourself. When you get caught up in that little like awkward feeling of like, oh man, they're asking me to do something and I really don't want to do it, but I don't want to make them mad, so I'm gonna try to explain. Just say no. That's your cue to say no.
Say no and don't justify it. This is the power
Just move
of
on.
no,
You don't have to explain yourself.
the power of no is not the power of no, but it's the power of no. It's not the no, but no, stop.
That's the noise.
Say, just. Yeah, no. Before we were recording the podcast, Tim made it sound like a cloud dying, and I don't know if he can recreate it, but I mean the cloud dying noise.
Or was it me? Was that me? Oh, that one.
No,
oh,
your
yeah.
old one was like that's a cloud dying. That is a legit
Wow.
like a cloud. It's it's a cumulus cloud. It's puffy. It's doing work, and then
Yeah.
it just that's it. Let's do cloud dying as episode 4. Let's get a cloud on here. Maybe from Cloud 9. Maybe we can get Cloud 9 and we'll be like, why are there 9 clouds? Why 9 clouds? Like what about 8? What are the other 8 clouds? What do they represent? What's the longevity of a cloud? What's the life? Yeah, so this
we're
is
over here by Cordy. We talk about what we learned today.
Yeah. This actually segues into a final point that I want to hear about from both of you. But like, I might wake up and be like, oh my God, I do not want to be on camera today. This is going to be tough. Everybody's going to be like, oh, what's wrong with you? What, that imposter syndrome. It's going to just take over. And then you go live and everybody's like just in the best mood. And then you could even say, man, like today's just been a rough day for me. And they're like, I am really glad to see you. What's up? Like, it is so good to be here and be engaging with you. And you just remember in these moments, like, once again, I mean, this goes all the way back to Star Realms. It's not like this is a thing that's only because I have a viewership and a Twitch partnership and all this stuff. It goes all the way back where my 5 people, right? I'm not going to be able to talk to them the right way. I'm not going to be able to say the things that I'm not going to be able to do these things. I show up, we have a great time. A couple hours goes by, blink of an eye. And then I'm like, that could have not happened if I let my brain get in the way of what I wanted to do and accomplish. But so I want to segue that into Spoo. What if you're having a bad day? What if you're sick? What if you're in a bad mood? How does that affect your community engagement? How does that affect the way in which you might go live or not go live or what?
Oh man, it's definitely tough. But I 100% agree with what you said. Now it's not going to happen every time, I guess, but most of the time when you're feeling a little crappy or whatever for whatever reason, your community, just seeing people like that, people showing up for you, even if they don't say that, like, it's good to see you, like you said, like, just seeing a person tends to bring that feel good, at least a little bit. And then you remember that, like, yeah, these people are taking time to, like, come see you, taking time out of their day to just pop in, even if they're just like, they're not saying anything and they're watching you, or they say hi or whatever. And I think that, that's super powerful. Now, if you're really feeling not like turning on the camera or whatever, but you're a gamer, like again, this is like a community thing to do off stream or whatever. You get a couple of those people, just message them and be like, hey, you want to hop in a game together or hop in a call together, maybe watch a movie together, whatever. Or you say it, you say it in your Discord, like, hey, you're reaching out to that community in general, or you're saying, hey guys, I'm just taking the day off, but I do still want a game. Like, let's get together and get, whatever it might be. Like, I'm not going to say you have to push through this and stream to be the best streamer, but that's where the community, that's where the community aspect comes into play. You're just communicating with them, and like, even if you don't want to play games or whatever, just like, hey guys, I'm postponing, I'm taking the day off. I would say, now this is me personally, and I know it could rub people the wrong way or whatever, but I'm not the type of person to push my trauma on others. Like, we all go through stuff, and I understand that people go through stuff. But I think it's very hard to, especially if you're trying to grow a big community, it's great to be there for people. But this goes back to boundaries, I guess. There's just certain boundaries that I don't personally want to cross with people unless they're like in my immediate life. And this is one of those hard tribulations, like if you wanted to bring up from before, where it's like these boundaries of people. Where do you cross the line with people? Are you really going to be able to if you want to be a content creator, are you going to be able to take the time out and like babysit everybody? I love being a source of happiness for people, a source of escape or whatever, but there's a certain line where it's just like, that's all I am. And, I'm no professional in terms of making people feel good, but I try to make people feel good, and that's where I'm at. Now, there's plenty of people out there that want to be that person that, like, talks to everyone and whatever, but for my content path, it's just that's not me. As much as I want to make everybody feel good, because I think most content creators have that feeling of, like, hey, I want to bring smiles, I want to make people feel good. So when you see certain people dropping, bad news, it's like you really want to try to help them and, do what you can, but that's just one of those really hard boundaries as a content creator / streamer / so you're trying to grow a community, because it's going to happen. These hard moments in your community are going to happen where people are having really, really bad days, or you're having a really, really bad day, and it's like, how do you navigate that? Anyway, that's my rant.
It's good. It's good. I think it's important to know in all this too, the suggestion, because you kind of mentioned it like briefly, but the suggestion here is not like, hey, if you're not feeling good, you better stream anyway because you'll feel better. That's not the suggestion. The suggestion is, if you need to take a day off, take a day off. If you need to take a week off, take a week off. If your mental health is struggling, or you need to focus on self-care, do that. It's more to say, let your brain not be in the way of you streaming. If you're having doubts about going live, work through those doubts. If you're sick, don't go to work sick, right? I don't know. Unless, I guess streaming, if there was a job you can do it, streaming might be it. You can sit there and be sick on stream.
You gotta judge it yourself. And that's where the self-employment comes into play. You gotta judge how are you capable? And there are plenty of things I've had to push through just because it's like, well, this event is happening at this time and I have to be on. So
yeah.
Here we go.
I mean, an example of this. To just, my dog just passed away like recently, and so I had to literally just check out. I was slotted for Marble Fest. I had the Pro Marbles League season finale, and I just straight up was like, nope. Not doing any of this, right? Because I needed time. And that time can be something that's not as traumatic as losing, a pet or losing a loved one or anything as high as that. It can be something that it could just be off. I mean, mental health is important. Self-care is important. Take the time you need. Do what you got to do. If you have to cancel things, cancel them. Don't force yourself to do, just take care of yourself, in all of this. And your community is there for you whenever you decide to show up. I think that's like the overarching point. You're building people who care about you.
I think there's a point of where you sometimes feel like you're going to disappoint someone if you don't show up. Like, oh, my community is going to hate me if I don't show. But if your community is your community, they are going to prioritize your care. It's like almost guaranteed.
Yes.
They are going to say, take a day, take care of yourself. Like, we don't want you to push yourself beyond your boundaries, because I don't think people realize this. Your community actually cares about you. Even if they make fun of you constantly through the whole stream,
that's a huge
your community cares about you.
Like building a safe space, there should be this messaging of come and go as you please. And I think if you push that messaging, your community should really understand that when you need to come and go as you please as well, So it's like, hey, sometimes things come up and I can't be here, and like that's there's still this space. There's still the Discord we can hang out in. You guys can hang out in. The community's still there. But there are some times where I also need to come and go as I please because things just come up. And if people don't respect that, I'm sorry, but you have to draw that boundary with them and say, "Hey, sorry, this is how it is." And if you don't like that, I don't want to hear it from you. Like, sorry.
So this is okay. So let's try to tie a bow on this, if possible. I don't know. There's so many things going on, but
I'm a bad bow tire.
Dude, I believe bow tire.
Yeah.
Like, is that like a tire? Is that a tire that like somebody has flexed over to the side? It's like a taco tire.
Well,
yes.
Dude, we just made it. We just invented something.
Yeah, that's the new Tesla model coming out. Taco tires. Taco tire Tesla. So if we had like one takeaway, like for me, I think if we had a takeaway from this, it would be to authenticity. I think authenticity for me is the final takeaway, where you want to be authentic in what you do, in what you care about, in taking care of yourself, and in your interactions with people. That's a way to not only build a community, but to like really be like alive in those moments to say we are all taking time out of our day to be in this space right now. Let's honor that. That's important. What about you, Tim? What's your like overall community engagement takeaway?
Show care for others, because people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Whoa! And how many times did you practice that in the mirror? that was
Zero.
good. That was
Itching to get it out all day.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, when is it over? Spoo, what about you, man? What's your takeaway?
Variety and boundaries. Like, just understand that there are many, many people on this planet. There are many, many people in the online space. There are many, many ways to enjoy content and to enjoy communities and different communities. Respect that. Respect that there are things you aren't going to like, and respect the boundaries around all of these things as well, Don't be butt and just hate on things, because you can just turn your head and go enjoy something instead of just hating on something.
Don't be a butt.
Don't be a butt. I was just gonna. Yeah, that's the takeaway. Don't be a butt.
Look, I'm really trying to respect the rules here, okay?
Yeah, it's good. I don't know. It's cute. It's cute. Okay, dude, I'm surprised you didn't push that button for an hour, over an hour. Like, yeah, okay, get it. So that's our show for today. Thank you to Spoo for being on here with us, talking to us about community. Tim, a pleasure as always.
Absolutely.
Thank you to my.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I can talk about community forever, and I'm always open. I feel like sometimes it's people are a little bit weary of this is where, again, talking about maybe opening those social doors a little bit and just saying something like, I'm pretty willing and open to talk to people and DM whatever if there's time to talk, and just reach out. The only way to get answers is to ask questions, and you're not going to get an answer until you ask the right question. Don't stop asking questions until you get the answer. There it is.
Or use Google. Okay, and please don't forget to follow the StreamSix official channel on Twitch, YouTube, or any social media platform to continue the conversation. We want to hear from you. We want your feedback. We want to know your questions, thoughts on today's episode. Thanks again to everybody, and we will see you for the